Mhm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by Mary Medeiros. She's an Emmy award-winning director and writer, and she is also a advanced Akashic record practitioner. Her bio is actually a lot longer than that. She's won a lot of awards. She's been all over CBS, ABC, NBC, and it's phenomenal to meet you, Mary. I am so excited to have you on today.
Thank you. And to be here to hang out with you. Love this.
What I love about Mary's background is she actually looks like she is in the Akashic records. So before, and I'm just like, I think I need to do a reading.
Yeah. Let me pick a book. Oh, let me
Like
pick somebody's records. There we go. Right there.
Rachel, when you were 5. I love that. Now, before we jump into the Akashic records, I
Mhm.
want to kind of ask you, did you go through any type of a spiritual awakening or where your intuitive abilities, maybe you're kind of like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but this isn't normal?
Spiritual awakening, I have to say, from what I know them to be and
Yeah.
what I've heard other people, no,
Same.
because I already had something going on and
Yeah.
I just didn't put a label on it. I didn't know what it was. Okay.
Gotcha.
And it started when I was very little. I grew
Mhm.
up Catholic, and I will say kind of threw that out the window in 5 minutes, but I wasn't, a rebel about it or
Of
anything. But I
course.
do remember always being in church
Hmm.
and feeling, especially in church, feeling the presence of something amazing
Yeah.
that then we called God.
Hmm.
I didn't understand the parts about you commit a sinner and you have to repent the rest of your. I mean, all of that. But I didn't. It's interesting as a child. My friends would rebel against that, but I was just like, yeah, okay. I know I'm not going to take that one with me. But I do remember this sense of this presence, right? So
Yeah.
then I bopped into life, grew up, went into, eventually wound up, school, television,
Yeah.
making mistakes, falling on my face, all the stuff we've done. And then I remembered feeling when I was in television that something was missing and I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And really now I know it was is
Hmm.
it's it doesn't have spiritual roots. I was going to say that. Television tends to not have spiritual roots, at
Okay.
least in the networks
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
making a judgment, but I didn't find it.
For your
And
perception.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, so it was, I didn't even know what it was that was not right. But then eventually things shifted.
Hmm.
And it's almost like when we don't listen to our calling, the universe I call it the boot. It'll just, God source, it just boots
It
us.
does.
And we don't understand at the time, especially if we're kind of operating in third dimension mostly. And so I kind of got booted around a little bit
Hmm.
and didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah.
But my inner being felt better that I was getting booted around. And then, I mean, you probably have the question there, but
It's okay.
then I got to the Akashic Records, and that's
Yeah.
another story on how I landed there. But there was no spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
It was more for me being hit over the head with it and
Mm.
kind of going, "Are you going to listen now?"
Mm.
And me knowing I wasn't shoved into it. It's just like I had a knowing, but I already knew. I
Right.
just didn't know that I knew.
It is interesting. And I think for some people, they're looking for a massive spiritual awakening where all of a sudden they know all,
Yes.
and I think for a lot of people it's almost like it's a gradual process, and it's
Yeah.
also like just trusting your intuitive senses. And I know for you, like you said, in 2007 you had a psychic reading with a lady who informed you there's a male figure. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was really, I'm trying to think if that was after I got the little bit of the boot, but
I love the boot.
yeah, we get booted
We do.
actions and we go like, what are, because our egos come in and go, what's going on? I used to go to this person for reading, so we knew
Yeah.
her really well, and she was fabulous. And this one day she said, "There's a dude over your shoulder," and I'm like, "Cool, who is he?" She goes, "I don't know. He looks like a genie, but he's telling me that." First of all, very telling thing she said. he said, he said, he's been, he's been channeling through from sacred geometry, creative ideas through sacred geometry to you. And it was on my right side. And I
Wow.
remembered, at that point, I had a remembering of when I would work with actors, I
Yeah.
would get things that would come in, like right there on the set, an idea or something. And especially with the seasoned actors, they would embrace it. They would say, where did you get that idea? And I used to go like this, I don't know, it just came in. And I didn't even think about what I was
On the
saying
right hand side.
on my right hand side. And
Oh my goodness.
I would just wave it, right? So when she said that, I remembered, I remembered
Yeah.
working with the actors, and I went, whoa. And it was from Sacred Geometry. I
Wow.
went, whoa. So then she said, he's telling me that he oversees your Akashic records or
Mhm.
guards your records or something.
Yeah.
And I asked her, what are the Akashic records? And she said, I don't know, but that's what he's saying he does. So when I got home, I just did a Google search,
Yeah.
whatever. I started looking it up. And again, when you talk about like the spiritual awakenings are not being banged on the head necessarily,
No.
I had a wow, this is cool. Like it kind of easily made sense
Yeah.
what it was. And I didn't go like, no. And I didn't go, yes. I just went, cool.
But
And
then
then
cuz yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and then I forgot about it. And then went back to my life, whatever was going on at that time in my
Right.
life. And then the second one was at the second sign. There were three signs. And the second one was I was at a metaphysical bookstore that I loved hanging out at down here in LA.
Mhm.
And I was alone in this back room, the metaphysical section
Yeah.
of this metaphysical, super metaphysical. And there was a book teetering off the shelf above me. And I think, and I know you know this book, and it was sticking out, really sticking out, that it drew my
Yeah.
attention. So I pulled it down, and it was this book. Oh, it might be
Oh,
keying out.
it's
How
okay.
to
It's a
Read
great
Akashic
book.
Records. Yeah, Linda Howe's book.
Yeah.
So I get like chills to the floor, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, okay. I go and I buy it. I take it home, and I like to describe my experience with that book as I inhaled it. I just sat
Wow.
there reading and reading, reading, reading. She has you open your records,
Yeah, she does right away.
yeah, and I
Mhm.
started doing it, and I started hearing blocks of thought that weren't mine. And I went, whoa, okay. And I didn't tell anyone. I just like would write. I'd sit on my computer and write what I was hearing.
Right.
So then even that, I was like, okay. And then I started to share a little bit about this. And I think I got her second book right away. And I didn't even
Mhm.
decide to study yet with her. But a really dear friend of mine at that time, I'm from New York originally, and I was
Mhm.
living in New York. And on my birthday, in a card was enough cash to start studying with Linda Howe.
Wow.
So I went, well, and especially if somebody gives you that gift, what are you going to go, no, and hand the money back? I was like, okay, I'm doing it.
Absolutely.
And it was just once I started, working with Linda in those classes, and
Yeah.
like you do the exercise with each other.
Yes. Yeah.
And my favorite part, I think, was using the records myself as I was studying about the records to
Mhm.
heal my own wounds.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, it's such a powerful tool. And what makes, I think, us good Akashic Records practitioners is how much we access the records ourselves
So
to
true.
continually um, use them as a
Mhm.
tool in our own lives to keep us clean and clear.
Absolutely.
I remember
So
Linda
yeah,
saying
go ahead.
once, yeah, she said once in one of the classes, it's important that you do this healing your wounds. One of her books is called that, Healing the Wounds Through the Records. And she said, you've got to do that because you don't want to be in an Akashic Records reading with someone and something comes up that you haven't cleared yourself with that person
Absolutely.
and you're not going to be clear. So I remember I got that right away and I went,
Yeah.
oh, yep. So I did all that, I did the work and I still do. We know
All the
things come
time.
up, right? Those stupid patterns.
Do things
Subconscious
ever
patterns.
come up, guys? Never.
I know, I know. So I dove in and loved it.
Yeah, and haven't looked back since.
No.
So for anyone that's not familiar with the Akashic Records, what is your maybe definition of the Akashic Records?
Well, I imagine your followers are very familiar with the Akashic Records.
Eh.
My version is the same as yours. I'm going to say that because I have heard what you say about the records, and I
Oh my
agree.
goodness.
I totally, it's my, I feel like you're a soul sister to me because it was
Oh,
like everything
I
you
love
were saying, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes. And it made me
that.
feel
Tell me
better because
more. No, I'm just
what
kidding.
I do. Well, it's an ethereal realm
Yeah.
that exists, so it's not really bookshelves like what's behind me.
Yeah.
And and they've been around since forever, the beginning
Yeah.
of time. And this ethereal realm where I like to call it the soul print. It's
Hmm.
a an imprint of the soul's journey, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime.
Yeah.
And that means the soul's actions, experiences, thoughts, patterns, everything is sort of printed in this realm that each one of us has. We have
Yeah.
our own records. And what I also like to remind people about the records is that it's based on the idea that we are a soul that incarnates and incarnates and
Mm.
reincarnates, because some
Hmm.
people don't believe in that. And so, two things that are important, I think, when you're
Yeah.
going into the records, if anyone asks about the records, is that the belief of reincarnation and also a belief in a source, something,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. And
Um,
the ability to be able to connect with guides, ascended masters, your ancestors, your team. Like it's
mhm,
also like to for me, it feels like I'm opening the door and allowing your sacred team to come in,
that's right.
and that I don't do that unless I open up the records and I open up my clients' records. Like I'm not one of those blind readers where I'm like, hey Mary, I have this hit on you. Like it's just not gonna happen.
Right. I know, I agree. And I often have people say, oh my gosh, you are so good. And I'm like, no, 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 you're dialoguing with the divine aspect of you right now. So let's thank you for being so good,
Oh, I love
because that is
that.
how that works. I mean, it
Yeah.
is, okay, we're conduits, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, it's my belief in it and
Hmm.
my knowing, my deep knowing of the existence of this and the
Hmm.
existence of source, divine, divinity.
Right.
It nothing, in this chaotic world, I say often when everybody is really having a hard time right now. A lot of people are having a hard time right now.
Absolutely. They are.
And I say the one thing that can't rock me, just try it, is my connection to divine.
So true.
You can torture me, you can do whatever you're going to do, take my rights away, whatever is going to happen. You
Yeah.
can't take that one away because I've got that. And if we could all just know how powerful each one of us is with that connection, that the connection is us. It's not something up there. It
Yeah.
is us, right? And that's what the records remind us
Absolutely. Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And you bring up such a valid point is that, especially right now, for what the world is going through right now, it's like the
Mhm.
shift in global consciousness. And, and I'm not sure how, if you feel the same way, I do feel like there's a pulling away. There's this like negative, I don't want to say negative, but there's this lower vibrational energy that's trying to bog us down, whereas a lot of other people are trying to rise above. And it's interesting to kind of work through that muck, it feels like.
Yeah.
And when we're having you're still writing, you're still directing, you're still, in the creative field. It's hard to like you be in the 3D aspect sometimes, you
It
know.
is hard. And it's trippy,
It is
right?
trippy.
Right. Yeah. And I like to say that it's that area down here that you were describing,
Yeah.
it's it's lack of connection to divine. It's lack
Yes.
of divine. It's
Yes.
when we are not knowing we're divine, then we take actions
Hmm.
that are in that more dense,
Yes.
ego conscious filled arena. And then others call it evil, darkness, shadow, da da da. And we have books forever on that. But really it's simply lack of knowing that we're
Yeah.
divine, lack of knowing that there's divine, that everything is really okay all the time.
Yeah.
Like, because we're being lied to right and left.
Disconnect from the matrix. But you're right. I mean, if there's one thing I think, and I feel like you're stressing this, that if anyone takes away from this interview is that the power to divine is within yourself. You don't have to go externally. You don't have to go to, Walmart to pick it up and buy it. You don't have
Right.
to like spend $1 million on a mentor. it's all within yourself.
That's
Like
right.
everything's in within yourself, and your self-worth, your love, your compassion, like all of that juicy goodness that helps us to connect. It's all within you.
Yes. And what well, Eckhart told, it's funny, the records very often uh, affirm
Mm,
teachings of Eckhart and Bruce Lipton,
yes.
especially the part of Bruce Lipton's work that involves subconscious patterns.
Yes.
Because the majority of people who come to me for readings, if not all of them, they're saying, I'm stuck
Mm,
and I don't know what I'm here to do, and I
that's
don't
my
know where I'm
purpose.
going, and I just don't, I need clarity.
Yeah.
And what usually happens is almost 100% of the time, at least for me,
Hmm.
what happens is subconscious patterns, whether they're from past lives, they can be
Yes.
past lives, or childhood. Very often it's childhood. And these subconscious patterns are like, they're just tricky little beasts.
Yeah. And they can
And
cripple your life.
they really can.
Hmm.
The one thing that I've been like, you probably have this too. Every time I work in the records, I'm being taught something more.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm there for other people, of
Yeah.
course, and then I'm expanding. And so one thing that I've come uh, to discover is that um, those subconscious patterns, what I've learned, Bruce Lipton says the good news about subconscious patterns is that they're not ours, which
Hmm.
that's true.
Yeah.
And we can record over them, is what he says. And what the records add is we can, Linda Howe actually uses the word mine,
Hmm.
M-I-N-E. And what the records have said is we can mine the energy of the trauma.
Yes.
Whereas if you look, I mean, in my growing up time, it was therapy, different kinds of therapy. You had to go revisit it. You had to like relive it,
Yeah.
all the treatment stuff. You had to figure it out. And it's like the records don't even, like when I'm working with someone, they're not saying, let's talk about what happened when you were
No.
or whatever. No.
So
In
true.
fact, they'll say it's not necessary because the person will be like, oh, do I have to go there? And the records will go, we don't need to go there.
Yeah.
We just need to feel the energy of it.
Yeah.
What did that feel like? Disempowerment, whatever it is.
Hmm.
And then to flip it where it becomes an asset
Yeah.
is that was brand new for me. And I started testing that myself with my own subconscious
Yeah.
pattern. And it's,
For me it feels like you're almost rewiring your cellular tissue, your
yes,
cellular
it's a
memories.
rewiring. Yeah.
Yeah, and
And,
it's so true.
and then it also means that what we have learned might have been trauma. We're talking about the things that get in our way.
Yeah.
What we learned are actually assets.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's now you can't. What I found is certain clients of mine, if they're really steeped in like not even knowing about the
Mm,
trauma or
absolutely.
not knowing that, that's too big a leap to say. And what I love about the records is I don't have to worry about it when I'm in the records. They just wash over the
Yeah.
reading with exactly what is necessary. And because my part of the prayer that I say before
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
to,
The intention. Hmm.
to put my ego is over there.
Yes. I do the same
It's like,
thing.
right. Um,
I'm like,
uh,
hello, conscious bystander. How are you, my lady?
that's right. I'll say to people like my ego's over there on the couch. It's
Yeah.
here. So it's true. I don't have I don't have any. I mean, I've had people say things. Excuse me. I mean, a guy who wanted to commit suicide, and it was blank. I had nothing
Yeah.
because it's not about me. But then when I don't know if you've had this, but when I close people's records and they've been, traumatic
Yes.
ones, I close the records and then I'm like, oh, well, because now I'm coming back into
Yeah.
the dimension and I walk around going, oh my God, I hope and then I'm starting to like hope that,
Did I cover everything that I needed to cover? Did I hit upon the things that I needed to hit upon? And
yeah,
I
yes.
I find myself towards the end of a session, I'll be like, is there anything else you'd like me to go over? Like, because it is like, we're just channels. And so
Mhm.
and I'm sure it's the same way for you. We're also channeling a lot of energy. and it's healing
Mhm.
energy. And we like, sometimes I can't even verbalize the healing that's coming in. Like, I just know it's coming in. I kind of know, I might know where it's going. Sometimes I don't. I can just feel it. And I'm like, but I know it's for your best and highest good. And
Yes.
and I love that, because I'll say, okay, it's coming in through your crown or wherever it's coming in. And I love to be able to not only speak, but to channel in that energy. And like what you're saying with the, the loops that run around, the limiting beliefs that run around. And I would say for me too, that does come up a lot. The I'm not enough, I'm not worthy of love, I don't want to be
Yep.
seen, I took about poverty for all our healers. It's just, and then
Yep.
to be able to help them to kind of almost give them their aha moment. Like we
Hmm.
can we can like you said, you can illuminate them and you can flip it, and then infuse in. We remove something, we have to infuse something back in. So we take out this limiting belief, and we infuse in an empowering belief, or that energy. And then it's interesting to see your clients kind of evolve from that.
Well, the records do it automatically.
Don't they? It's so cool.
Yeah, I once said to somebody, it doesn't matter if we're talking about doo-doo right now. It's
They're
flowing
doing the
through
work.
because
Yeah.
the divine moves on the spoken word.
Yeah.
Actually, we have proof of that in history. If you look at sacred tomes, and I
Mm,
like to call it, like what's over my head here, sacred texts. And why is it that you could pick up certain sacred texts? Some of them were written by men and women and
right.
men, but the ones that are
Yeah.
pure divinity, when you hold them, when you read them, something happens.
You
You
can
feel
it
something.
comes into you.
So what is that? That's the divine. It's energy. It never dies. It's
Yeah.
all that isness of
Hmm.
everything. And so all we have to do is go, yes, that's all. And
And
I
be
get
open to it.
that's it. It's just going yes to it.
Hmm.
So like and the interesting thing is I realize this with most healers, probably, and people who are in healing arts, I'll say. I don't even like the word healer anymore because
I
it's like
know, it's so like,
that implies that somebody's broken. It's like, no, we're not broken.
we're just, I feel like I'm here to help you with your training wheels, and ultimately you're going to ride the bike. Like,
You already have the bike inside, right? It's like
the bike is within you. And go
that's
ahead.
true. That is so true. Wait, I forgot what I was going to say. It doesn't matter. Let's move on to the next thing.
Guys, it was really, really important, and we will circle back to it. One of the things that when you first start to open up the records, it does feel like it's not real. Like, it is an interesting, like, because it is for me, and for you too. It was easy. It's easy. And
Hmm.
I feel like for people, if anyone like wants to check out Linda Howell's book, and there's other practitioners, like, I would be open, like, be open to kind of going into your Akashic records and seeing what's going on there. Like, it's just, it's I there may have been a time where it was kind of unattainable, but I feel like now, like, with the Akasha records, and there's like a lot of Akasha records practitioners now, I feel like, would you recommend that people maybe try to, open up their own records? And
Absolutely.
yeah.
The reason that it's more accessible now is because consciousness has expanded so much.
Yes,
And that old worn out saying, the veil's getting thinner. But
it
it's kind of
is.
true because in history, it would be only mystics and holy people, known holy people,
Yeah.
that were able to access the records. And that may have been true because
Hmm.
of maybe the vibration of those times might have been very, very dense and very little higher conscious. Who knows?
Right.
But because the planet is expanding so much at lightning speed, we're able to access. I mean,
Mhm.
I've never seen as many psychics and mediums
Same.
as there are now, and I
Same.
love it. And
I'm
I
always
have
like, can I get a reading?
right. But have you noticed this? Um,
Oh, I'm like,
there's also a lot of no,
fakes,
but
fakes.
I don't want to say fake, but I think I can see what it is they haven't healed their own wounds.
Yes, and yes, yes. It's people who, they may be skilled and talented, but in order, like you said in the beginning, in order for us to have successful client sessions, we also need to be willing to look at the aspects within ourselves that do need to be healed. Whether it's
Yes.
a limiting belief, maybe it's a contract, maybe it's a past life moment, maybe it's an inner child thing, maybe it's a persona, like all of the
Yep.
skills and the tools that we bring in while working within the records. If I haven't done that, and like you said, maybe I pull in an inner child, and it's like, and then I get stumbled and tripped up, and it's a disservice to my client if one, I feel like I can't hold empathy for you and compassion for you. And then it's like, oh my goodness, like what happened there, and then I don't leave the session satisfied. So like you said, we have to be willing to look within ourselves to kind of say, all right, this is what's going on here. Let's dig it up. Let's dig it
Yeah.
up. You
Here's
know?
an example of how powerful the records are. There was one time recently where it was something very traumatic with
Yeah.
someone, and I tried. I remember the moment of trying
Yeah.
to. I don't know how to explain, because this is quantum, and everyone listening to this, anyone listening to this has to understand we're speaking about a quantum realm
Yeah.
that is
A
then squeezing
multi-dimensional
through
realm.
the vessel of our brains, our
Right.
way of speaking, and our imagination. So I just remember thinking I wanted to feel surprised, or
Mm,
it wasn't about empathy. It was more like, because I'm not really there, yet I
right.
am.
Yeah.
And so I tried to bring my, I guess maybe my ego, I don't know, but I tried to bring it in.
Hmm.
I couldn't. I just stayed. I stayed in that vibration, and I was aware for a second, and then later I thought of it after the reading. I was like, wow, I tried to bring myself into it
Right.
myself, and I couldn't. That's how powerful
It
the
is.
divine is. It's so powerful. Like
It's
once
so
you
true.
say, okay, I'm here for you, divine essence, all that isness, then it says green light, let's go. And you go. And you just have to not think about it and just go.
And
That's
if
how it feels.
it no, it's so true. Like when I'm giving a reading, I do if there's something that pops in and then I don't say it, it will not let up. It's
Me
like
too.
even if it's
I
something
have to
like,
write it down.
yes, I'm always taking notes during my
Me
readings, and
too.
they'll
I'm taking
probably like,
notes.
are you paying attention? Like, yeah, I'm just trying to keep up with everything that's going on. Like,
It's
there's just
coming
so
in so
much.
fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, and then you're right. And it's, but it's like, it will just zing back and zing back and zing back. And it's like, no, we have to work. We have to work on this. We need to talk about this. And
Yep.
then as soon as and then it lifts up, it's like, oh, okay.
It's true. I write down things, and then the person might be, because again, divine moving on the spoken word. I get more information about a person's records while they're speaking and when they're speaking.
Absolutely.
Not when I'm speaking. It's not about me. And so
Mm-mm.
when they're speaking, I'm receiving, I get blocks of thought.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting blocks of thought, and I'm writing, and I'll be writing them, and then they might move on to something else, and the records come in where we
Yeah.
are at that point. But then what I have to do is I look back and I'll see something, or maybe
Yeah.
I've circled it because we didn't deal with it, and but the records send me back. You're
They
right.
do. They do. It is almost like our own roadmap. Like it's like,
Yes.
okay, here we
Mhm.
go. What are maybe some profound experiences that you can share working with the Akashic records with yourself or with your clients that have really, had a profound impact on you?
Well, I have one that's pretty profound. It was, you're you're gonna it's funny. You're gonna, the good thing is I'm very light like you are. I'm very, like, I like to have fun,
You're
and I
very
can,
lighthearted. Yeah.
yeah, and that of course
She got a very serious face, guys.
it makes people feel more comfortable,
It
right?
does.
I've always been that way.
Yeah.
So one thing that happened for me was, so now I start moving into the work in the Akashic Records, studying, the practitioner stuff and all that.
Yeah.
And then my own media, I'll say, or directing. And
Hmm.
I wasn't a writer. I didn't think I was a writer then. This
Oh,
is how the records
interesting.
work. So I start then doing reading once I finish the accreditation and all
Sure.
of that. And I started doing readings. I was very doubtful of like, who me? I can hear this. And like, it's because it's such a responsibility. So I went
It
through
is.
that. And
Yeah.
I would always go to like my wife, Christine. I'd say, I don't know. And I'd sometimes type readings out and I'd show her and I'd go, I don't know, it's me. It must be my imagination. She'd be like, you don't even speak this way. Something's going on. You're hearing something. And so she was my
I love
rock
that.
really, because I wasn't
Yeah.
going to run around and I don't market it. Like I don't run around going at parties. You need a reading. I don't ever do
Oh
that.
yeah, no. Oh no. No, no, no,
It
no.
doesn't
Nope.
feel right. It's like selling the divine. Anyway, so what happened for me was I was um, I was doing one of my own, I had my records
Yeah.
open, and my record said, my master teachers and loved ones are the essence, the light energies that are with us.
Yeah.
And they said, Mary, you're a writer. And I was like disagreeing with my own records. I find this so funny because
I don't
I typed back, no, I'm not, I'm a director. And my record said, no, Mary, your records show you writing. We see you writing, and we
oh,
also see what's etched here is that
yeah.
you will be writing books on the Akashic records. And I was just like, okay, I don't understand. Okay, whatever. So
Sure.
what's interesting is I kind of walked around with that.
Yeah.
And the information that had come through wasn't like this light went on, and I went, sure, I'm a writer. I was just like, oh, wow, okay. And I remembered allowing that, the reality of that,
Hmm.
or allowing it that came through to become a reality. It's kind of like accepting it. And I
Yeah.
just remember thinking, okay, I mean, I know I'm a storyteller, but yeah, okay. As soon as I said okay, no joke, I got a call from a colleague of mine to write a screenplay based on a book about Mary Magdalene. And a
That
really
is amazing.
serial book. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh,
I have
okay.
chills. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I got
Wow.
chills on that. And
Woo!
and to be paid to write it. And so then what I didn't realize, boy, these records are like so right on. I guess I'm saying we are all right on, aren't we? Um, what I forgot was that I had taken over the years at least 3 or 4 workshops with the top screenwriting guy in the world,
Wow.
Robert McKee. And I was taking those workshops in New York and LA
Yeah.
to make me a better director, I thought. And so when it was time to write the screenplay, and I had a person that I pulled in to co-write with me, which was great. We did great together. And when I was starting to write, I knew the format and I was like, wait a minute, I know this. So I already knew it and I didn't
Yeah.
know it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it really, to be honest with you, it goes back to subconscious patterns. For me, a subconscious pattern like, who you? You're going to be
Yeah.
this, who
Yeah.
you? And
Imposter syndrome. That's what comes up for me. Hmm.
yes, imposter
Yeah.
syndrome, exactly that. What? You're going to scream? And so I dealt with that, opened my records. I
Right.
really, I mean, they're such an amazing tool, the records. Um, and they're so personal to us.
Yes.
It's like, it's not like we have to rely on another outside person or a book or a process. It's
Yeah.
literally us, the
Hmm.
divine essence of ourselves. So it's amazing. So that was really profound for me
Wow.
because once I said yes, and it wasn't like I got up one day and went, okay, I'm going to write. It was more an inner, okay, I'm going to line up with this. There's
Wow.
something true. I could feel the truth of it.
Yeah.
Once I felt the truth of it, these doors opened.
That's amazing.
And that particular screenplay has got the eyes right now of 3 major Italian producers. I We turned it into a modern storyline because I didn't want to
Yeah.
write a Bible story, but it's really basically turning the Vatican and everything we know in the Bible upside down. And it's through
I,
Mary's own words because this woman channeled Mary Magdalene, and this was this book. And so, and what, and Mary was coming through me. I remembered
yeah.
while I was writing, I felt
Yeah.
it coming through.
Oh my goodness.
So there was the record. Now, had I not been working in the records, I
Yeah.
don't know that. I mean, eventually I would have come to it
Right.
because of our soul's journey is our soul, and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
What does that mean, our soul's journey?
Yeah.
I believe we do choose.
Yes.
And when I learned about that through the records, I was like,
Hmm.
oh, I know this already. We
Yeah.
choose on the other side,
Mhm.
what we're going to come here, not specifically to do, but the overarching,
Overarching, yeah.
yes, kind
Mhm.
of, I'm here for self-love, or I'm here
Right.
to teach or to receive or whatever. And so I believe that. And so when we are feeling off or stuck, I describe this, um, the what the records do as a tool is when we're not honoring, we may not know we're not,
Mm,
but we're not honoring our soul's chosen journey,
mm,
then we're off like a sprocket that's out of its groove like that. And then, yeah, we're just bopping around and we don't know
yeah,
why, whatever. But once we once we remember why we're here, it's like this. It just goes like this. And it goes like that automatically
yeah,
in the readings. It happens every time.
yeah,
Like, I'm amazed. There's never been one. I mean, I've been doing this since 2008 or 9.
yeah,
There hasn't been one time where I've come away going like, "Oh wow, not that didn't work or nothing happened." Nope, I hear back from people. They're
yeah.
like, "Oh my God, I now feel
Repeating
like,"
clients, like everything. It's
right?
amazing. Yeah.
Which is just like we get to have fun.
It's an amazing experience to for me it's and I know it's the same for you. It's just I'm so grateful to be a part of someone's journey.
Me too.
And also for us to, like you said, I do agree with you that we do kind of map out our life before we come here. What are our important lessons? What are these, maybe traumas, whatever. And it is interesting. And like you said, once it clicks in, divine's opening up all the doors for you. You just have to be willing to
Just
walk through it.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything gets easier. And
Yes.
life is supposed, and the good news is it's supposed to be easy. And
Yeah.
people say, really? Yes. That's
Yes.
one of the clues to that help us discover that we're doing what we might have chosen to do is something comes easy. But
Yeah.
we've been trained out of that as a culture
Mm.
and as a humanity, no pain, no gain, that
Yeah.
old
Hustle,
stupid
hustle,
thing that
hustle, hustle, hustle.
yeah, you gotta work hard,
Yeah.
and that's the only way you're gonna reap the benefits. It's like,
Yeah.
no, no. Just do the things you love.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
So
other
true.
really cool thing, if I can share this,
Yeah, of
that has come
course.
from working in the records. So I've noticed that with people who have gotten to the point where they're all clients that they've discovered, like they had their ahas, like, oh my God, yes, yes, there are all
Yeah.
these yeses. Then the next step for them is now they're navigating their lives through their lives, having remembered who they
Mm.
are and why they're here. So what has been happening now is not a process, but I've been mind mapping in people's records their whatever their offerings are, their work, their
Oh, I
brands, their
love that.
I know it's brand new,
I
and
love that.
I think I'll probably be creating workshops on this now. But I mean, it's for the person who's never been in the records. You can't jump to that necessarily.
Right.
Depends. Sometimes people just I've had clients and they're just like these things come up
Yeah.
in a reading and they go, oh my God, got that, and I can just see them shift.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so before the reading's over, we're already doing a little bit of a mind map thing.
Right.
Because the one thing that I've learned is that everything we've done, let's just talk about this lifetime, everything we've done in this lifetime, we have been told to put in categories. Oh, well, my
Mm.
first 10 years of my life, I did that.
Right.
I was
Right.
a nurse and now I'm a writer and I was at
Right.
this. And what the records show us is that every aspect of our lives, everything we've done and chosen to do, when we put it out through the lens of the records on a table or on
Hmm.
a thing, and we see them like a mind map, they come together. And when they come
Do.
together, it becomes a new, unique offering that's only you or
Right.
me or that person.
It's so
It's
true.
amazing. So working through the records, the energy of the records holds us to, with our permission, of course, it holds us to taking actions and
Yes.
creating things that are within our soul's chosen
Yeah.
journey.
Because it's our own unique signature.
It's our own unique
Yeah.
signature, and we have to, and the permission. I see people so happy because they'll say, well, I wasted 10 years over there being a plumber or whatever. And it's like, no, let's bring the plumber
No.
out right now.
Yeah.
Let's look at this
There's a
because
reason why you did that for 10
it,
years.
and there's an energy to it or an
Right.
aspect to it or that is going to play into this
Hmm.
bigger you. And so that's been happening more lately.
I love
And
that.
it could be, life is shifting, quantum shifts. It's like a snake. And so nothing's ever static, right? Which is fun. And
It,
we have to be the kind of people, you can't work in the records if you think people have to stay, if you think things have to stay the same,
oh gosh. Oh no. Oh no. I feel
right?
like I feel like change is our middle name. Like and be okay. Like for me it's
Yes,
trust, surrender to divine and let them lead the way. And also like
yes,
I do firmly believe that life is meant to be full of joy and we're supposed to have ease. Like it's supposed to be we're supposed to have ease and freedom and not be in the rat race and all of that. And you're right. Once you kind of shift into that mindset, the mentality while working the records and maybe doing some other work, it's just like,
it everything gets easier.
yeah, it's even shifting out of like we get in bad moods. We're human, whatnot. May have a tough day at work or whatever. Even yesterday, I had a tough day at work. I run a doctor's office. I'm a registered nurse in my
Mhm.
day job, and and yesterday was a tough day. So today on the way into work, I'm like, God, angels, universe, please help me to have, and I really I was very conscious and really setting up my intention and the energy for the day. And I'll tell you, I had a great day. It's like, and I'm not sure if I would have been able to shift out of that had I not have done the work in the records and the healing and been
And have
open.
those tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's a great reminder for all of us because I have those. I mean, I've been having lately funky days, waking up funky and
Funky, right? Energy's
just
funky. It's
funky
heavy.
and Dee and I are working on a lot of projects
Yeah.
together. And it's great. We can tap in with each other spiritually even. And I'll say to her, I don't know what it is. I'm feeling funky. I don't know if it's the planets, the Mercury
It's
retrograde. I don't
all
and she'll go, me too. I can't believe that. And so
Mary, you
it
better be reaching out to me too. I'll be like, yes.
okay, I'm going to. I'll drop you a note. It funk day, whatever.
I'll be
And
like, amen, sister.
it's true. And just even like having trouble sleeping sometimes
Yes.
and I will do now, I call on Mary Magdalene now or Archangel Michael I tend
Oh, of
to.
course. Yeah.
I will literally ask them. I'll be laying in bed.
Yeah.
I will invoke them because you can't just go, maybe they'll help. You got to invoke them.
You do.
And
Gotta
I will
ask.
invoke them and ask them
Hmm.
to bring me to sleep.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, I wake up in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, it worked.
It does. I mean, there is so much power in setting your intentions and really truly like having the faith with your intention. Energy follows intention. And
Yes,
when we kind of set that intention, last night we lost power and it was a little eerie when everything goes zoom, and it's silent.
very eerie.
It's eerie. And I was like, so what did I do? God, please send an extra angel to protect my property, protect my doorways, and then I go put a gossamer filled it and like all, I called in so much protection. And I was like, okay, I can go to sleep now. Like it's just
Uh-huh.
with no power. But I felt a little unsettled, but then it's like, oh, I remembered, okay, you have spiritual tools, you've got your tools, just call in your team, call in the angels, and you're just, okay, I'm fine. I'm okay.
It's great that we're talking about this right now because I've heard a couple of light worker types. This
Yeah.
one guy, Alex Quinn, I love him, British guy, and he connects with the Arcturians. And he was saying like and Pleiadians,
Yeah.
and he was saying recently that the messages that are coming to us now are that light workers in particular are maybe going through or having a challenge in
Mm.
the now time moving forward a little bit with ego
Yes.
trying to come in.
Yes.
And, and that's why I love Eckhart Tolle's ego conscious, not the healthy ego. And Eckhart refers to it as a monster and then he giggles
Yeah.
about it. And it's like, it is a monster. It's very tricky. I'm almost finished with my book, the first book,
Yes.
which now it's called the Akashic Way because it's like a way of
Ooh.
living.
Ooh.
Yes. Yeah, it feels
Love
good.
that.
And there's a chapter that's called the ego soup. And they go into, and they just, because what they told me was or imparted to me when I had
Yeah.
my records open was, we want to impart messages to humanity, kind of like Neil Donald Walsh did.
Hmm.
So I was like, well, what do you want me to do? And they're just like, you'll just know a
Hmm.
topic and you just open your records and we will co-write this with you.
Amen.
And they said it'll be so easy that you'll probably question it. And it was like, yes, that's how it happened, exactly as they said it. But they talk about the ego soup and that there is this, collective ego consciousness.
Yeah.
And it's running rampant right
It
now.
is. It is. It for me, I equate it to spiritual narcissism, spiritual materialism. Yeah, it's I've seen, unfortunately, spirit heal, people that were amazing, they're still amazing people, but it's like they got lost a little bit. So,
Yes, I've noticed that too.
yeah, and they'll be curious to see how but it's also a reminder to us that, we are co-creators in this process. And if we shift into this ego mind, we can really go down a rabbit hole that we may not want to go down.
I love that term, spiritual narcissism.
Yeah, yeah, I heard about this a little over a year ago. There's someone I was talking, I think it was an interview, and she was like spiritual narcissism and spiritual materialism. And I'm like,
Wow.
it's profound. I mean, just saying that term, it's like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, I got it. Because you even see people on YouTube, right? And I think I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I do want to say for our listeners, discernment is very powerful. You need to trust your inner compass and really trust whatever you're trying to take in. If it's,
Hmm.
a spiritual mentor, a book, whatever it is, like the Linda House book almost fell on you, and you
Yes,
trusted it. But when you picked it up, you knew, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to read this. But there may probably be things that we've come across, like, that's not for me. Like, I'm good,
right.
thank you, and I can move on, and I can be okay with that. And I want people to really trust your inner compass and
Oh,
trust.
I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
because what can happen is if those who are finding those people, processes,
Yeah.
books, whatever, workshops, whatever, they're in a vulnerable state to begin
They
with,
are.
and
This
that's
is
what's
the
tough.
most
So
vulnerable state that they're in.
yeah, so following intuition is tougher when you're in trouble in a sense, and
Yeah.
you think you need help. I mean,
Right.
we're trained to think
Everything's
we need
within.
help.
Everything's within.
Exactly. That's very important what you're saying, and it's a really good reminder.
Yeah.
And we always know if we, whenever we're first introduced to something, what is it, Maya Angelou? People show you who they are,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Don't
Right,
forget
right.
it.
Yeah. If we really pay attention, it's the first hit, the very first hit.
Amen.
That spiritual,
It's
and I've noticed spiritual people too, or leaders even, and they were one way and now they're just another way. And I'm like, what?
what
What happened?
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you went left and now you're right. And it's very much yeah, just trust your inner compass and really like seek out, if you want to get a reading or whatever, seek out people that you resonate with, and not are trying to sell you snake oil. And
Right.
it's unfortunate because it doesn't matter what field you're in, people will take advantage of you. Because you're right, you're vulnerable. I mean, even I have been victim to it, where I was on this tear about getting psychic readings and whatnot. And I remember I was on this app, and this lady's like, "Oh, there's bad energies, and this, and if you just pay me 10 more minutes, then I'll clear it. Oh, I need 10 more minutes." I'm like, Rachel. I mean, I don't even want to say it, but it was a reminder to me to be like, Rachel, trust your own advice. But I mean, I was in a very vulnerable state, and I'm saying, as a person who does this work professionally, fell down the rabbit hole. And it
That's
was like,
called human. That's
yeah,
human.
our human
And you're
experience.
bringing that to your work, which is so important. It's what I do. I do
Yeah.
the same thing. I'll talk about things that I tripped up on or whatever, and goofy me, whatever. And I don't mind doing that because we are navigating
Yeah,
a human experience. It's
absolutely.
not that easy.
And we need to be
yeah,
authentic. It's like if
yeah,
we don't
yeah,
share the things that stumbled us, along our path, like nobody's perfect. We all
right.
have had, traumas and things that have gone on in our life. And I do feel that there brings an additional layer to our healing by, because we're bringing in our authentic truth and be like,
Yes,
hey, this happened. Hey, let me tell you something funny.
yeah.
Let me tell you something not so funny. Let me tell you
Now
about the time.
I'm gonna be picturing you on the app. 10 more
I,
minutes.
I know. I was like, and I was driving him. I was driving in my car. And she's like, oh, I need this amount of minutes. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, and then I was at my parents' house. Oh gosh, how long ago was this? Probably like 8, 10 years ago. And I'm like, I need more time. I need more time. There's bad energies. Guys, don't get, no. I mean, now I can clear it, but
That's great though. And that's what makes you more valuable in what you're doing
oh,
because
so funny.
you can speak to that.
I
You
can
know,
say like that's a Charles, that's a scam.
that's a scam. The charlatans,
Yeah,
yes.
thank you. I stumbled on
Yeah.
my word. And
No,
it's I just did a dowsing class. I know we got to wrap this up in just like 2 minutes. I did a dowsing class recently and she was talking about like, people like demons and this and that and negative spirits and this and that. And she's like, those are the black pepper. Those are the little specks. Those are few and far between. And she's a medium and the way that she talks about ghosts are people too. And I love how she teaches
like that.
because she's like, take away the fear. She's like, get pissed. She's like, you have no power. Like, stop, shut up. Like, and it
Right.
honestly, like, it's in pout because I've always been like, but now I'm like, yeah, I'm getting pissed. Anyway, that
Yeah.
was really off topic, but she's like,
Exercise those. Get
yeah,
out.
she's like, the mashed potatoes are the spirits because we have a lot of spirits around us, and it's in the
Yeah.
masters, angels, guides, teams. They're the mashed potatoes. These negative energies or whatever they are, it's just a little specks of
Like a
paper,
speck of
pepper.
like
Yeah,
pepper. I love that. It
isn't
is.
that
That's what they
interesting?
feel like. And it's just one little grain,
One
right? Like
little
it's,
grain, one
yeah.
little speck, and she's like, don't be afraid. Just be like,
I
you
like that.
know.
That's a great reminder,
Good reminder.
especially today, because it's such,
Well, I feel like there's a lot of fear mongering. That's how I kind of feel like, it's fear mongering. It's like, let
yep.
me work off your trauma. And it's people, yeah. Anyway, so Mary, if anyone would like to book a session with you or anything like that, what is the best way to get in contact with you?
Okay, so either email, which is my email is a divine realm at gmail.com.
Love that.
Um, my website is spirittherapybymary.com.
Ooh,
I wanted spirit therapy, but it was taken. Because that's what it winds up being. It's like we're getting spirit therapy from our own spirit,
yeah,
ourselves. We're
yeah.
giving to ourselves. So those are the two ways, my
Perfect.
website and my email that works.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mary, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the Spiritual Spotlight series. You are amazing.
Thank
When
you.
your book is ready to launch, will you please come back on the Spiritual Spotlight
That's
series?
a promise. I would love to, and really an honor to meet you. Seriously,
Oh, don't make me
and
cry.
to be. I just really seriously, it's how I feel.
Oh my
Like
goodness. Well, it's an honor to meet you too. I'm
good
just like,
people.
oh.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for this wonderful episode of the Spiritual Spotlight series. There's so much energy coming in that now I'm starting to stumble in my words. And everyone have a great day.